Our biblical text for today will come from the book of Revelation, Revelation chapter 21, verses 2 and 3. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. The first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. I saw the new Jerusalem, the holy city, coming down from God, out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Today is Friday within the 34th week in Ordinary Time Year B, which is the last week of the liturgical year. Gradually, the year is ending. By tomorrow, Saturday, we would have come to the end of this year, and a new year will begin with Advent by Sunday. During the last days of the year, the church usually presents us with readings which are rich in eschatology, readings that usually draw our attention to the last times, the end of time. And this year, these readings have been coming, especially this week, from the book of Revelation, the last book of the Bible. The book of Apocalypse, or the book of Revelation, is one book in the Bible that usually scares people. Many people are afraid to venture into it because it arouses a sense of terror and fear in the heart of those who attempt to read this book. However, one important message of the book of Apocalypse is the reality of the end time, the reality of judgment, the reality of punishment, and then reward. It is important for us to know that a time will come when this present order we are seeing will be no more. But another important aspect of this end time message is a proper understanding of what it means that the world will come to an end. End time does not imply that the whole things that God created will fizzle into nothingness. Is not synonymous to annihilation. Rather, what it means is that a time will come when everything will become new again, when everything will become renewed again. And so today's first reading from the book of Revelation chapter 20, the last part of chapter 20 and the beginning part of chapter 21, tells us about how this whole story that John began telling us, this whole vision and revelation he was experiencing from the book of Revelation chapter 1, how they are culminating towards newness and renewal. And so we hear about the new heaven, the new earth, the new Jerusalem, to tell us that at the heart of the message of Revelation is renewal. A time will come when God will renew all things in and through Christ. If after studying Revelation, the only message you take back home with are messages of terror, messages of fear, then you have lost the essence and the message and the content of that book. If this is the case, then the remembrance and the thought of the end of times should not scare us. It should rather arouse within us a sense of renewal. The end of time, understood within this context, is something that we should long for, something that we should aspire. This renewal takes place in the life of every believer at the individual level. But more importantly, as it features prominently in our readings today, is that this renewal takes place at the level of the church. Because what John saw is a new Jerusalem. By the time you continue this reading in the book of Revelation chapter 21 and also chapter 22, and John will begin to describe the features and the nature and the characteristics of this new Jerusalem, you understand that he is making reference to the church. This new Jerusalem, this beautiful city, has 12 gates, and on each of these gates are written the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. However, the walls of this city are founded on 12 foundations. Upon these foundations are written the names of the 12 apostles. This takes our mind to what St. Paul tells us in his letter to the Ephesians, Ephesians chapter 2 verses 20, where he tells us that the church is founded on the apostles and Jesus Christ is the cornerstone. Therefore, this new Jerusalem is the church. The message of this text today is that God is making everything new again, including the church. But this renewal is one that will always come through persecution, sufferings, and difficulties. So all those hard and difficult experiences that John saw prior to this time, they were all geared towards the emergence of a new church. There is a clarion call for the church to undergo renewal. What is happening in the church calls for sober reflection. God is inviting us to allow Him to transform us, to allow the experiences and difficulties we go through to renew us, so that by the end of the day, we will be found worthy to be beneficiaries of His kingdom in heaven. On another note today, our brother and friend, Reverend Father Emmanuel Anamneze, will be led to rest. A priest of God who, while here on earth, also devoted his life and time towards the service of God and service of humanity. We are praying that God will also help him to behold Him face to face in that newness of life in His kingdom in heaven. May Father Emmanuel and the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Have a wonderful day, my dear friends.